Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the next stop on the Michelle Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Len, a.k.a. The Bat Triple. And as always, I am joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams. It's all soul. G-Town Radio Wednesdays from 8 to 10.
For those who just kind of like just quickly listen to your intro.
Yes. And
maybe haven't tuned in since the early days of the Michelle Mission. Or,
yes.
Exactly what is It's All Soul?
It's All Soul is similar to the Michelle Mission, except we focus on music. It's me and my partner, my cousin, Daryl, and we oftentimes focus on a particular artist or a particular producer or a particular piece of music and sort of dissect it. And we spend 2 hours with it. And it is, most of the time made by African-American artists. Although as the name says, we say it's all soul. So, we've done some Dolly Parton. We've done some...
Dolly Parton?
Yeah.
Dolly Parton has done soul music?
Well, here's my argument. Jolene is the first part of an epic saga that then ends with I'll Take Your Man by Salt and Pepper.
All right, we'll investigate that a little bit later, ladies and gentlemen.
I need everybody go out, get Jolene by Dolly Parton, listen to it, and then listen to I'll Take Your Man by Salt and Pepper.
What year is Jolene?
Jolene, I don't know, maybe 70. Like it might be late 60s. I think it's off of My Coat of Many Colors.
Okay, all right.
Like that first 4 or 5 Dolly Parton albums that are just amazing.
Really?
Yeah, that's good. Hey, man, I do.
You know
early
what?
Dolly.
I wonder if Dolly Parton and I have listened to extremely little Dolly Parton.
Of course, I think that album might be called Jolene.
I wonder if she's like Johnny Cash. Like, I've never been a big fan of Johnny Cash, but I've always appreciated the idea of Johnny Cash.
Right.
And then every time when I think I'm ready to write him off, it's like, I don't know what the big hype is about Johnny Cash.
Right.
Then I'll hear something by Johnny Cash and I'll be like, oh, that's what it is.
That's what it is while you're ready to write him off, or that's what it is?
That's what the hype is.
Like you get what the hype is.
I get what the hype is. Because he even when he's not singing, even in his later days when he's basically just a spoken word artist with a guitar.
Right.
There is a soulfulness to.
Well, it's ironic you would say that because and now who knew this is where we were going. I think one of the things I like about Johnny Cash, I think there are some white singers, oftentimes folk singers, oftentimes country singers, and I think Johnny Cash is a perfect example of this, where when you look at their direct sort of inspiration, like so much American music goes right back to the blues and to slave songs and that tradition, that I actually sometimes find it refreshing, an artist, and particularly a white artist, that has very little influence whatsoever from black artists. And I think Johnny Cash is one of those artists that, he's not like an Elvis or Jerry Lee Lewis.
Not at all.
Where you can see the direct line. Where I think, Johnny Cash was, I think he's a Mountain Dew too.
Yeah.
Like, just the straight mountain bluegrass, that folk tradition. And I like that. So, I'm not a huge Johnny Cash fan. Like, I don't really, but I like a little bit of Johnny Cash. And that's part of the reason I like him so much.
For those out there who are, fans of the superhero movies, when Logan premieres, the latest X-Men movie, Logan, premieres in your town, Johnny Cash song "Hurt" is featured in the movie, but it plays at the end of the movie, like plays in entirety.
Right.
And the end credits flow into it, and man, let me tell you, it worked so well on me. I was sitting there just.
You know what I got out of all that? You saw Logan already.
Yes.
You know what?
I saw a little.
Whatever, man. Have you seen Get Out?
Actually, now you'll appreciate this, Vince. There was a press screening for Get Out this evening.
Really?
And I am missing it to record the Michelle.
Yeah, it's a shame that you didn't know somebody that, maybe we could have postponed the episode or had a special episode or a late episode, and you could have gone with them in to see Get Out.
Well, first of all, I couldn't postpone it because I had too much stuff to do all this weekend and then on Monday. And then second of all,
busy.
If I was to go, do you really think that...
I mean, it could be a Michelle Mission outing.
No, it could not because trust me, I'm missing it. But you notice who's not here. My girlfriend.
Very nice.
She wasn't missing it.
Very nice. Well played.
So, there you go. But we're here, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be reviewing a movie for you.
Yes. It's a movie.
We're reviewing Paris Blues from 19...
So no mail, no nothing, no.
Well, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, yeah. I was like, wow.
We do have a little bit of mail.
Love, no love.
We got some love. But we're going to be reviewing, after we go through our mail and feedback, we're going to be reviewing Paris Blues.
Yes.
From 1961, starring Sidney Poitier.
Yes.
Paul Newman.
Yes.
Joanne Woodward.
Yes.
And Diahann Carroll.
Yes. Indeed.
Yes, but first, and directed by Martin Ritt.
Yes.
A renowned director of films. But before we do that, we have gotten some love, Vince.
I was just wondering, sometimes.
We got some love, man.
Or death threats.
If we did. On Twitter, at Romero Manuel hit us up. He said, "Hey, players, did I miss Juice? When is it on the lineup?"
I don't know.
I don't know. We have not come across Juice.
We have not. And I think Juice is one of those movies that it's in that kind of sweet spot where it's like, I don't want to just jump on Juice.
Yeah.
Because it's a really, really good movie and it's kind of important because it's Tupac. But it's not on my list of, we need to go ahead and do this before episode 100.
Right.
So.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, but we will.
But it does bring the question, because I know that there are a lot of people that love Juice, and for no other reason because of Tupac or Omar Epps or just because of its place in time, what it represented in black films of that era.
Right. Certainly.
I mean? So, or just because of
the soundtrack. Yeah.
But I'm curious, and this might be putting you a little bit on the spot.
All right, sure.
Is Juice one of those films that you would prefer for when we do it, for it to just be the two of us, or would you be slightly perturbed if a guest said, "I want to review Juice"?
It depends on the guest.
Oh, okay.
It depends on the guest.
That's true. That's true.
Because obviously I think you and I could do it. But at the same time, it's so funny. I've been thinking the whole time I've been watching Get Out. Like the whole time I've been thinking that we need to do Get Out next Halloween. And have Ashley come in.
From Graveyard.
And it's like every time I hear Jordan Peele talk about horror movies and he's very thoughtful about the imagery in Get Out and race in horror movies. In fact, I just heard him this morning like Tom Joyner, and I said, wow, I can't wait to hear what Ashley thinks about this movie.
Yeah.
So, it really is sort of guest contingent.
I hear you.
Because, I think me and you are smart, but I don't think me and you know everything.
Not at all.
So.
In regards to our review of Poetic Justice,
yes,
and some love that you gave out to a certain Hispanic on that film, at New Mutant, the Power Principle said, I need to Twitch-roduce, as opposed to introduce, Twitch-roduce the Michelle Mission to my man at DJ Older and his friend Anika Noni Rose. On the strength of Vince's Sesame Street Maria love alone.
Wait, so I get introduced to Anika Noni Rose because I loved Maria?
Yes.
I'm okay, I'll take that.
It sounds like the perfect quid pro quo.
Yeah, oh yeah. I thought he was going to introduce me to Maria, which I don't even know how, like I don't even know if I could talk to I mean, her name's not Maria. Her name is Sonia. I forget her real name. We actually just got her biography a couple of months ago, and yeah.
What do you mean you got her biography?
Purchased it over the holidays. It was
really? You purchased her biography?
Yeah, she's mad. Yo, the Sesame Street people are mad. Like, my Maria stuff aside, the early years of Sesame Street, what was going on behind the scenes, fascinating.
Really?
Do yourself a favor, spend 20 minutes, look up like the first 5 years of Sesame Street, the history of it.
Okay.
Because, that was all unprecedented.
Well, true.
Like that whole deal, and then, it's all these young black people and Hispanic people and gay people, and they're in the city. And, I mean, it really was a radical enterprise. So, but then I also loved Maria.
I love myself Maria, too. I did.
It's so weird when you have kids and you turn on and she's gotten older. Yeah. And it's like, it's Maria, though.
I know. So. I still see her in her.
So I say all that to say, oh yeah, go ahead yeah, sure.
But you say all that to say,
you can introduce me to Nika.
Okay. Well, so at New Mutant, feel free to make that connect.
Yeah.
And whatever we need to do to make that connect official, we will do. All right. Thank you. We also got an email from one of our celebrity friends, our favorite celebrity friend.
Who would that be?
That would be Mr. Dorian Missick.
What's up, Dorian?
Well, he's funny you say that because he said, "What's up, fellas?"
There you go.
He said, Saturday the 25th no longer looks good for us because I'm still going to be in LA being Vincent's favorite kind of actor.
A working one.
Looks like we won't.
That's all right.
Looks like we're both going to be in LA until March 13th, but I'm still down to talk music when we get together. Hope all else is going well. I've been listening to the show religiously.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it whenever we finally do it. Your friend Dorian.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Dorian, for checking in. Glad you're working. Glad you're doing your thing, brother.
Amen.
Do your thing.
Do your thing. Do your dance, dog. We also got a message on Facebook from Robert Monroe Jr.
Robert.
Now we know the show's official.
Yes.
He said that he saw John Wick 2 on Sunday, and Common wasn't that bad.
Okay.
But he was playing against Keanu Reeves' wooden acting, so you really couldn't tell.
Good friend of mine cracked me up like I've never watched The Matrix the same way. She said, if you'll notice, Keanu Reeves is good in The Matrix because he never talks longer than like 45 seconds at a stretch.
Yeah, very true.
And I never noticed it until she said it. And it's like everything is him asking questions. Like 90% of him in The Matrix is he asks questions and then people answer.
Have you seen John Wick 2?
I haven't seen John Wick 1. Oh.
You're missing a good time.
That's what I keep hearing. I just haven't,
And it's the rare action sequel that is indeed a step up from the original.
I've heard very good things about it. It is on my list of stuff to watch.
Mark Turner hit us up.
What's up, Mark?
Sup? Just caught the episode on Poetic Justice, and I have to agree with Vince on one very vital point.
Okay. What is that point?
It is all about Jasmine Guy.
Man.
Forever and ever, the end. Thanks again for another great episode, guys. P.S. Came across the article on Shadow and Act, possible film for review.
What's the film?
Shadow and Act. Oh,
no, that's the website.
The film is Sammy Davis Jr., Eartha Kitt, Fall in Love.
You had me at Sammy Davis Jr.
How about it?
So, yes.
Had me at Eartha Kitt.
Yes.
So we will make that happen for you, Mark.
Yes.
Somewhere
yes.
We'll make it happen sometime down the line, Mark. You got a movie during our listener request month, so
yeah, but still, Sammy Davis Jr.
I love myself some Sammy
I
Davis
love
Jr.
some Sammy Davis.
I do love some.
We're going to talk about him a little bit when we get to this. That's why I love him. That's why when we get to because Sidney Poitier, Diahann, Carroll are all in that same wheelhouse.
Very true.
Okay, I mean that time period and that particular type of black actor / entertainer from this time period.
Okay, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Oh yeah,
we'll get to it when we get to it. But right now we got to get into 1961's Paris Blues.
Some motion pictures move you deeply, others not at all. Some pictures you love, some you hate. Here is one which is bound to catch you up in its different kind of love story. You might call it a love spectacular. So intimately exciting, you feel it's happening to you. Paris Blues. A room in Paris can be like no other room in the world. The things they do, the things they say.
You come on like this with all the guys?
No, only with the special one.
They haunt you and hold you, like the Paris Blues. Come to Paris, the city that was made for love, and meet its young lovers.
Continuez. Continuez.
What do you want to do, wrap me up and take me home? We had a good thing going. What do you have to spoil it for? I got my life all arranged like I told you. I got no time for what you want.
Nobody in this whole world is ever going to be as right for you as I was. For 12 days in Paris in the autumn.
But I love you. I love you.
Paris Blues, 1961 American feature film made on location in Paris.
Yes.
Starring Sidney Poitier as expatriate jazz saxophonist Eddie Cook and Paul Newman as trombone-playing Ram Bowen. The two men romance two vacationing American tourists, Connie Lampson, played by Diahann Carroll, and Lillian Corning, played by Joanne Woodward, respectively. The film also deals with American racism of the time, contrasted with Paris' open acceptance of black people. It was based on the 1957 novel of same name by Harold Finder and features trumpeter Louis Armstrong as Wild Man Moore. Pianist Aaron Bridgers. A score by the immortal Duke Ellington. Screenplay by Walter Bernstein, cinematography by Christian Maitres, and directed by the ineditable Martin Ritt.
Yes.
This was Vince's choice.
It was. This was my choice.
Love.
It was.
Now, full disclosure, real quick, for those who remember, you chose another movie last
I wanted to, like I tried to get fancy, and I wanted to do For the Love of Ivy.
Right.
Which is another Sidney Poitier romance.
Right.
That I had never seen.
Me neither.
And I was just going, I figured it's Sidney Poitier and it's like 1971. How bad could it be? But I don't know, because it's surprisingly difficult to put your hands on it.
It's nowhere to be
So,
found.
I wasn't, on the turnaround, because, we do this in real time.
Yes, we do.
The turnaround didn't really lend itself to us to do For the Love of Ivy. So that is forthcoming. So we went back to Paris Blues.
Why Why did you choose Paris Blues, and what did it ultimately mean for you?
I love Paris Blues. I love this film. I think it is a film that, as you sort of said, the plot, very light. Mm-hmm. It's a light plot. These two young women, vacation. They get into a relationship, one relationship more serious than the other, with these two expat musicians. Mm-hmm. I think Martin Witt, he's, like you said, he's a well-renowned director. I have to say, he's not a name that I think of when I think of the great directors, but I think he is obviously just a really solid director and just a really, kind of does his thing. And I think this film is a perfect example of that, where, there aren't a lot of flourishes. Mm-hmm. There aren't a lot of, there are a couple of scenes where you can see his hand. I love the scene where Wild Man Moore comes to the club. Yeah. And, and there are played by Louis Armstrong, which, has so much energy. Mm-hmm. And I think that is absolutely a reflection of his direction.
Yep.
But I do think that this is a film that, we kind of use this term disparagingly, where we say, style over substance. But this is just a film where I think the best decision he makes with, no disrespect to Joanne Woodward, but there are 4 stars in this film. There's the city of Paris.
Yes.
There is a very young Paul Newman.
Yes.
There's Sidney Poitier.
Yes.
And there's Diahann Carroll. And he just gets out the way and lets the camera rest on these 4. And it's a beautiful film to look at. So I think for that, it's just a solid movie, just a solid, hey, Paris Blues is on, you watch it. Having said that, I have great affection for this film for a couple of reasons that, frankly, don't necessarily have to do with the film itself.
Okay.
I think, I think Diahann Carroll is as an image and as a character, is, dare I say, radical in this film. For, we talk about that a lot more, but I love her character, and I love the way that her love affair with Sidney Poitier's character plays out, especially at this moment in 1961. Although, and again, we can talk about, like, I watched this Monday with my wife, who's in her 40s, my niece, who's in her 20s,
okay,
and my daughter, who is 12. And she is an aspirational figure, like just Diahann Carroll's character Connie, and the way she carries herself and the way she is put together. And I think that is important. And then there's just the background to it, which you can also talk, that Sidney Poitier and Diahann Carroll were in the midst of a torrid love affair.
Yes.
While they were making this film, both of them married.
Yes.
So, love this film. Like I said, it's very stylish looking. It's a beautiful film. Makes me want to go to Paris. It's filled with beautiful people. Paris Blues. I love it. Like I said, we talk about the movie and we talk about the other stuff too.
You talk about how the 4 stars in here, with all due respect to Joanne Woodward. I would say that there are 5, because I would put Joanne Woodward in there. She is an actress whom, I've seen a lot of Paul Newman starring vehicles. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot from his younger career, his mid-career. So I've seen all the stages of Paul Newman and of Sidney Poitier and of Diahann Carroll, to be honest. But with Joanne Woodward, I probably have only really seen her when she's easily in her 50s or older.
Right.
At least that I remember. So this was my first time really having an opportunity to just sit and like see her young. Mm-hmm. It struck me much the same way as when I watched Uptight, and there's a young Ruby Dee in there.
Sure.
Where you're like, wow, that's what she was like young. Then I see the height, because I thought that as much as the camera, Martin Ritt, was smart about the camera in regards to Sidney and Diahann and Paul, I think he was just as the same with Joanne Woodward. And I found her to be a very striking woman that the camera did love. So I want to give her just due on that note. And while this is certainly substance over style, and there's not a whole lot of flourishes to it. There is smart camera work here.
Okay.
Coupled with very smart editing, because you have Duke Ellington. I mean, they're playing jazz musicians.
Sure.
So that means the whole thing has to have like this jazzy feel to go in time. And in rhythm and energy wise with the music that is accompanying it by Duke Ellington, and there are some times when Duke he got the boys rolling.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. And you see like a few montages where that in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, those montages would have been sped up. They would have been short clips. But in here, they are allowed to be very elongated, to play along with the energy and pop of the music, even though they may just be walking down the street, walking along a cobbled street. But because of that music and because the camera is following them, tracking them such, you can't help but just fall into the rhythm of their walking, you know. And I just really fell in love with the movie in that regard, and I have a soft spot for a movie that is purposefully made in black and white, because this was a movie in 1961.
Oh yeah,
there were color films.
Right.
But this is black and white,
and he absolutely used the negative space and the light and the shadow. Yeah, absolutely.
So I really did fall in love with this. And I found myself enjoying all of the character stories a little bit. Maybe the Paul Newman character, you know, the tortured musician, we've seen that before.
Right.
We've seen it before 1961. We've seen it after 1961. So there's a little bit of the stereotype there. So Paul Newman is not bringing a whole lot new to it, except that it's Paul Newman.
Yes.
And Paul Newman is a good actor, so he's doing it well, you know, and he's playing this position pretty well. That being said, I will have to say that for 1961, I found this movie to be refreshingly mature without being trying too hard at it. Because he is a musician,
yes,
in Paris, who has a kind of like laissez-faire relationship with the woman who kind of like runs the club,
yes,
where he's at, and they kind of both know what they get out off of each other, what they right. want.
And the implication is she's a little older than him.
Yes,
so there's that part of it too.
Yes, and yet when Joanne Woodward's character comes in, you know, and they develop a relationship. There's a maturity to how that woman handles it, and how with all due respect, Paul Newman handles it too, because there's still honesty, because their relationship was always honest about what they were to each other. There was no sense in lying about what is happening right in front of her eyes.
Right.
You know, and for not even
that would be Marie Soul,
exactly,
played by Barbara Lange.
Thank you. And not even just for 1961, just for movies, period.
Yeah.
For this type of film, that's a mature way of handling that, and I like that because it lets the tension of the movie just be the characters' relating with themselves, not anything else in any outside force.
Right.
You know, I did like that. That being said, I wish that the producers of this film, who were, I believe, United Artists, were brave enough to have taken the chance that the book follows for this movie, in that Paul Newman's character was actually supposed to get with Connie.
Yes.
Diahann Carroll.
Yes.
And it's right there in the beginning of the movie.
It is, yes, it is part of the reason I think this is radical. Actually, for a different reason, what you're going for. But go ahead.
But it's right there in the beginning of the movie because he's flirting with Diahann Carroll.
Oh, yeah.
He wants Diahann Carroll.
Oh, yeah.
So much so that when the two of them show up at the club and Sidney introduces them and then was walking out with them and Paul runs up and he's blocking Diahann like, yo, what's up?
Yes.
Sidney's like, yo, but I thought you was going to be. Oh.
Yes.
And it is at that point that the switch is made. Sidney walks off with Diahann.
Right.
He walks and he eventually gets with Joanne Woodward, and nothing else is ever spoken of that.
No,
that misconception or seemingly misconception.
But I think it's important that Connie, as my niece says, curved him.
Oh yes,
like Connie says, no, thank you. And she actually says it a couple of times because, it's a film. He meets her first on the train. Mm-hmm. And she said, and Connie tells him, yeah, I have and she's very pointed about, I have a girlfriend, a white girl. Maybe you'll like her.
Yeah.
And he says, and like you said, Ram keeps pushing, is she as cute as you? And she kind of pushes him away. And then he gets really aggressive. And she says, no.
I didn't think he got super.
He was there are some words I could use for how he was acting, but I'm just going to say jerk.
He had his jerk on.
Like it was quite a scene, and I actually, that's part of why, like, I like the fact that Ram wasn't actually that charming.
Yeah.
Like, he was very good looking. Mm-hmm. He kind of had his lane. Like, I'm playing this trombone. You could tell he was a musician of some note. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But this was not somebody who was charming the ladies.
No.
So that, he was kind of a jerk with her. And I think, were you finished? Because like I said, I got a whole...
Yeah, but I think a lot of that was written to placate the producers.
I think it was, but at the same time, I don't think that negates how important it was that you have this black woman who is empowered in this film, that she makes decisions. I don't want you. Everybody wants her. And I think that's important and something that you don't see. And the fact that that you have this parallel relationship going on where Paul Newman, of course, goes off with Lillian, played by I don't think we've mentioned his real life wife.
His real life wife,
Joanne Woodward. And they sleep together.
Yes.
And, it cuts to the scene, they sleep together, and Eddie...
Very mature way they revealed that. There's so much I liked about them.
Eddie, played by Sidney Poitier, goes off with Connie.
Yes.
And they have a wonderfully romantic evening.
Yes.
Where Eddie is pushing... Eddie is got his Mac on.
He got his Mac on.
Because Eddie is smooth.
Yes.
As opposed to Ram. Like, Ram, just good-looking Paul Newman, played the trombone, this, then, there. Like, Ram is actually white Bleak Gilliam.
He is.
So, it's my band, it's my horn, I look like this.
Drop him.
Whereas Sidney Poitier, it's 1961 Sidney Poitier, which ain't nothing to play with.
No, he's not.
But also very charming. And she says basically, no, we said we were going to go out. So we're going to walk all night and talk. And they walk all night and talk.
You're going to buy me my onion soup.
You're going to buy, I actually put in my notes, inappropriate. I said, Eddie got French onion soup. Ram got the drawers. But it continues along that parallel throughout the film where you have these, and let's just be real. Part of it is the film and society was scared of black sexuality.
Yes.
And, certainly at no point could Sidney Poitier have his shirt off.
No.
Like Paul Newman did on the poster, much less in the movie. So I acknowledge all of that. I think that there is still something important about this depiction of two black people in a romantic situation.
Yeah.
That is chaste. Like, it's
as far as we know, yes.
It is this very sort of traditional, he is courting her.
Yes.
And she is being courted. And I think that is part of why I love Diahann Carroll's character, Diahann Carroll's character so much in this film. Because, look, I understand, look. We talked about the black part of it. That, there's this fear of black sexuality and this, that, and the other. Certainly in 1961, you get to the blaxploitation period, that's part of it. Black people get to have sex. So I understand all of that.
Right.
I understand the part about women and, once, you gotta, I control my own sexuality. I'm not going to be slut shamed. You're not going to judge me by how I sleep with people. I understand all of that as well.
Right.
But there is, as they say, intersectionality, where race and gender meet, where black women are oftentimes depicted as sexually aggressive and not pretty. Like, you're sexy, there's lust involved, but black women, and we saw it with Michelle Obama for 8 years. We see it with Beyonce, where when we talk about them, we don't talk about them, they're pretty. And, you take them and all of this sort of traditional activity that you're supposed to do with ladies. And I love the fact that Connie is a lady. She's actually a lady. And Eddie has to court her. And Eddie has to do all of this stuff so that by the end, where she says, you have to come home with me, Eddie leaves Paris for her. And I love that. I love that. I love that image. I love that story. Regardless, are they being cowardly by not having the white man with the black woman? 1961, probably. Mm-hmm. Of course, the other side of that is if you had a white man with the black woman, now you got this brother sitting here with this white woman. Mm. So, it's real easy to be brave.
Yeah, very true.
So,
very true.
I would submit that that's also part of the bravery involved.
Very
we got to
true.
make sure this brother's off the table. And so I love that part of it, regardless.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Let me tell you something. Louis Armstrong is a presence. When Louis Armstrong he's only on maybe like 3 scenes.
Yeah.
And there's only one scene early on in the movie that he actually has like true dialogue.
Yes.
And yet when he's delivering his dialogue, I just like me some Louis Armstrong.
Who doesn't like Louis Armstrong?
He just makes me happy.
Yeah,
He just makes me so happy just to see him play, and he wipes his brow when he's playing because he's really into it. Like, you're acting, Louis. You really don't need to be blowing right now. No, this is how I blow. I mean, I just love me some Louis Armstrong.
I had to make my peace with Louis Armstrong.
What?
He's a lot. It's a lot.
What do you mean he's a lot?
With the eyes and the teeth.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you at all. And I made my peace with it years ago that this is Louis Armstrong. But I don't really go in. You've known me long enough.
Is he any more extra than Ray?
Yes.
Are you kidding? Ray,
the actual Ray Charles?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You think Louis Armstrong is more extra?
Oh, he's a lot. I mean, in Louis Armstrong's defense, Ray Charles is actually blind.
Okay.
So you can't see the eyes. But it's a lot of eyes with Louis Armstrong. And it's true. A lot of teeth. And it's a lot, but I made my peace. I love Louis Armstrong.
I know you ain't coming at Louis Armstrong.
I'm not coming at Louis Armstrong at all. I'm just saying when you said he is vivacious and he's a lot, and he is, but it is like, I think part of the reason I love him in this movie is because he's in 3 scenes.
Okay.
One more scene of Louis Armstrong, and because he's a lot.
I feel you.
He's a lot.
I feel you.
Wynton Marsalis helped me make my peace with Louis Armstrong in like the early 90s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was very vocal advocate for Louis Armstrong and in his music and but that's me. That's my stuff. I understand. You've known me long enough. You pretty much tell. Like, you can tell stuff Vince don't really rock with that hard.
I feel you.
So, and I love his music, love, obviously, his impact on jazz and music in general, but...
You've got to love...
Love him in this film.
You got to love him in this film. Got to love the music in this film.
Maybe my favorite scene in the film.
You've got to love Paris in this film.
It's
I mean, if this
amazing.
movie is not a love letter to Paris,
yeah,
I mean, it really truly is. It's like just let alone, you know, Diahann Carroll gets Sidney Poitier to go back to Philadelphia, to go back to America.
Yes.
He's leaving a lot.
He's yes.
Because in Paris they show you, like they talk about here, we talked about earlier, the acceptance of interracial couples, the acceptance of being a black man.
Yes.
Just being a musician.
Yes.
That is something that, in 1961, I could see this brother saying goodbye to America for 5 years, because it's interesting. I just saw the documentary "I Am Not a Negro."
The James Baldwin documentary.
James Baldwin. And in there, James Baldwin talks about how he felt that calling to come back to America, because he was overseas. He was for a long time. And you could see why. You could fall in love, be intoxicated by that atmosphere and by that feeling, that vivaciousness and the openness and the ability to just be.
There's a whole group of black people over there right now. I mean, their grandchildren and great grandchildren now that they left and they stayed over there. And how can you argue with that?
No,
my joke. I said it before. Like, the only thing to me that was even slightly realistic that could have gotten 1961 Sidney Poitier to leave Paris was 1961 Diahann Carroll. Because how do you leave this? Like, and I think one of the things that the film does very well is make the case of why I am here. Like, it shows, not just Sidney Poitier, but, throughout the scenes, if you remember when it opens up and Ram's band is playing, and it is just this long shot of the club where they're playing, and it's black people and white people and a couple of Asian people and a couple of people who, at least from the viewer, I'm going to say in 1961, they read as gay. And everyone is just sitting in this room enjoying this music and this world and this life. And, in 1961, when you see this, America was hell in 1961 when you were black.
Yep.
I mean, there's a couple of us, we doing, we kind of do all right now here. But in 1961, it was hell.
Yeah.
So that you can see the appeal. You see the draw, if you will. And again, it's a long history, including James Baldwin, of black artists in particular, that says, F it, I don't have to deal with this.
Yeah, man. Okay. 2 things. One, I don't like Diahann Carroll in this movie.
How do you not like Diahann Carroll in this movie? Like, I thought you were just going to say Diahann Carroll, which is completely wrong-headed, but go ahead. Let me hear this argument.
I like that.
No. What don't you like about Diahann Carroll in Paris Blues?
I'll tell you. I appreciate the story. I felt the script maybe hits it over the head maybe once too many times about the whole, like leaving the struggle and all that type of stuff.
Yes.
But I understood her viewpoint, and I felt that. And I understand that 1961's Diahann Carroll is not the Diahann Carroll who she will grow to be.
Right.
But that being said, in this film, I found her a little one note. I didn't find to her acting, I didn't find a whole lot of levels.
I'm not sure what you wanted her to do exactly.
And part of that, I think, maybe have been I will admit, may have been the script. I will admit that. I will freely admit that. But I
think she plays the beautiful, untouchable woman that you have to chase after, who represents America.
Well, okay. I didn't.
Like, what did you want her?
I didn't get beautiful, untouchable woman. I got just like, yeah. That's what I got. Almost every time. I actually, here's the thing. Here's the thing. The one time where I felt that she had a little bit of like, showed a little bit of sass and a little different color to her character was in the scenes when she was playing against Paul Newman in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I don't need any sass from Diahann Carroll. Maybe that's it. I kind of got enough sass in other places. I don't need no sass from Diahann Carroll in Paris Blues.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying sass, but I'm just saying just a little something. There was rhythm and angles to how she was playing the early scene with Paul Newman that I did not see in the scenes with
I
Sidney
feel
Poitier.
like she and Sidney Poitier, like you can actually tell in scenes that the two of them are having a love affair.
Oh, no. When you see them in the montages and they are tripping along the Champs-Élysées, as it were.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean on the bridge when he's spitting game at her. Like, it actually comes off.
Okay.
Like, there are moments where I'm almost uncomfortable.
Okay.
Because the two of them are clearly involved with one another.
Well, see, I don't know about that, but that scene is all about Sidney more than it is about her.
Well,
to me.
Well, she's being chased.
Oh.
She's being chased. Well, and I will say, I do think of the four of them, she is the least sexually aggressive.
Okay, but true.
But I like that. See, I like that.
But I'm not saying I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that what she's doing, and admittedly she's not given a whole lot to work with, but
right.
with what she is given to work with, I don't feel that I feel like she's playing it one way. You know what I mean? I feel like, she could have been, there could have been a little bit more.
I don't know what else you wanted her to do.
Hey, man, I don't know.
She real pretty. She wear pretty dresses.
Well, see, but
she
it's not about pretty. It's not about
no, but
you know who's pretty and wears pretty dresses? Dorothy Dandridge. You know what Dorothy Dandridge does? She gives you levels.
I think. Okay, first of all, Dorothy Dandridge is not a better actress than Diahann Carroll. We've seen Carmen Jones, and I think the Dorothy Dandridge stuff speaks to what I'm talking about. Like, let's just be clear. I think Dorothy Dandridge and Carmen Jones might be the most beautiful image I've ever seen on film. But there is it is very much Otto Preminger objectifies her physicality in the film.
Yes, he
so
does.
That there
He
is
does.
a part of it that I think the inner that. I mean, let's just be real. It's pure sexual energy.
Okay,
that
fair
comes off of Dorothy Dandridge in Carmen Jones.
Fair enough.
Which is what I'm assuming you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that is a whole different mode
I
than what's going on in Paris Blues.
I don't know. Okay. Here's the other thing.
Okay.
That's my
All
one,
right.
that's my one thing. Here's my other thing.
Okay.
And I think this is a bigger thing. As we are near time to start wrapping this up. In my opinion,
You ain't got to do no disclaimer. We know it's your opinion. You talking.
this is not a black film.
Oh, for Christ's sake. If you take the black thing out of it, the film falls apart. There's no movie.
Well, that's not necessarily so, because the way the movie sets up, Vince,
Go ahead.
is that basically outside of that beginning part where Paul Newman is coming on to Diahann Carroll,
Yes.
and they quickly get themselves out of,
Yes.
reduce themselves out of that. Basically, this is a side-by-side romance.
Except
so
that-
you could take Sidney Poitier and Diahann Carroll and excise them from this movie.
And the movie collapses. There's no movie. First of all, even just time-wise, the movie.
Time-wise, no, it wouldn't be a full film.
It's not a full. It's just not a film.
It wouldn't be a full film.
And as far as the two actual love affairs, you're saying it's two romances. Let's just call Ram and Lillian what that was. It's not a love affair. This is a fling. She wants it to be more because she wants somebody to be a stepfather to her kids and go back to that town.
That's not fair.
That's exactly what's happening. That is exactly from the moment she lands.
You don't think her feelings are real?
I think she gets over her feelings within a month of going back to America.
Oh wow, man!
From the moment what's the first thing she says to Lillian about going to see him? Lillian says, we don't need to go to this club, because he invites him to the club, and Lillian says, we don't need to go to the club tonight because we look like we're needy and we just want something. And Connie says, well, I am needy and I do want something. And I think one of the mature things that is the through line of the film is the film barely pretends that this is anything but the first thing I said the thing about he gets the drawers, he gets onion soup. The first thing Paul Newman's character says to her the next morning is, I'm used to being the one that makes the play.
That's true.
You make the play, you throw the pitch, you do this, and then
do the hit
and then he gets up and he does like I probably I ain't gonna say. I had a friend who used to get into situations, and then the next day he said he always had an early soccer game, so he'd get up and start putting on his stuff because he'd say, I have an intramural soccer game to play. And when Paul Newman got out to bed and put on a jazz record and picked up the phone to talk to absolutely nobody, I said, he's doing just like my boy. Like, he is giving her the okay, it's time for you to go home signal.
Okay,
it is barely. On any, I mean, it's a fling.
Okay, man, but I bought into her feelings, man. She sold it. She sold it at the end at the train station.
The more interesting relationship is the black relationship. And it's an actual, the fact that part of the whole sort of exchange about why he needs to come home is based on the civil rights movement. The fact that he wants to stay because he's a black man in Paris. Like, this is a racially specific storyline.
Yes.
That if you remove it, again, the whole thing falls apart. And not for nothing, if I'm taking my black people home with me, Wes Moore comes with me too. Like, if I'm taking the black people and we going home, then Louis Armstrong comes with me too, which makes the film collapse even more.
Well, first of all, Wild Man is on tour, so he goes home.
Yes, Wes Moore, you coming with us? All right, baby, let's go.
Anyway, I still contend.
Also, and I know we got rep, but I gotta say this, man. This is the moment. I told you, Sidney Poitier was married. Diahann Carroll was married. Sidney Poitier, because they start seeing each other on the set of Porgy and Bess. Mm-hmm. And Sidney Poitier said he didn't need, like, he was miserable doing this because they were having this torrid love affair. Both of them were married. And Sidney Poitier was trying to resist Diahann. I mean, they were trying to not be with each other. After this film, Sidney Poitier actually says to Diahann Carroll, this is all in her biography, I've mentioned this before, the legs are the last thing to go. Sidney Poitier says to her, I want you to leave your husband, and I'm going to leave my wife, and we're going to meet at the pier, and we're going to run away together. And do you know Diahann Carroll took her fast ass home and left her husband?
Really?
Told her husband, I'm out. I'm going and be with 1962 Sidney Poitier. Just like the dude who called up his wife after he slept with Sunshine. She said, sell all my stuff. I'm going with 1962 Sidney Poitier. I'm assuming because it was like the next year. And do you know that she went to meet Sidney Poitier? And Sidney Poitier did not leave his wife.
Yeah.
So she had to go crawling back to her husband. And she says in the biography, and I did what women do. I had a baby. And it's just one of those great stories. So it's kind of like, I've talked about Porgy and Bess before. Like you read all, and this now to bring Sammy Davis Jr. back into it.
Okay.
I love these, Harry Belafonte, Sammy Davis Jr., Leslie Uggams, these people, these kind of pre-civil rights movement, black power movement, black celebrities who kind of had a show. And they all do different things. They're very respectable black people.
Very true.
Love their lives. So that this is like one of those great stories in Diahann Carroll's life. And Paris Blues is when it was going on. which makes it blue black to me. Like this is like Paris Blues. This is the stuff I keep, like my blue black stuff. It's like Aaron Magruder went to school with me, and like I remember when Aaron Magruder was getting
of the Boondocks,
and I remember when he was getting it rolling. I actually have one of the so when you syndicate a cartoon, your syndicate sends out packages to all of the newspapers, and I have one of the initial packages from Universal that they sent out to newspapers about Boondocks. So I had that issue of Vob from like 15 years ago where they interviewed the DeBarge family, which was amazing. And then Paris Blues. Like those are my 3 blue-black documentary objects. So that's my final. Paris Blues is black. Because this is like you can actually see the 2 of them on screen involved in a situation they should not be involved in.
You be the judge, ladies and gentlemen. You check out Paris Blues.
Are you saying people shouldn't see Paris Blues?
No, I think it's
like you're real vague right now.
No. I think it's a good movie.
Okay.
It's a good movie. I enjoyed the film. I really did. I truly enjoyed the film. I enjoyed almost everything about the film, including Diahann Carroll.
Right.
Despite what I'm saying, I think I still liked her in it.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's a black film.
You don't think it's a black film. Okay.
I don't think it's a black film.
Yeah, y'all watch it. It's a good movie. So y'all watch it anyway, but I think it's absolutely a black film.
It's absolutely not a black film.
You could not switch out Sidney Poitier and Diahann Carroll and replace them.
You could replace them with an Asian couple.
No, you couldn't. You absolutely could not.
Couldn't. But the fact of the matter is that you could take them from this movie, and then yes, you'd have to beef up the script a little bit, but you could take their story from this movie, and the story would the main heart of the story for a whole lot of people would be Paul Newman and Joan Woodward, and it would remain the same. I'm not saying that Sidney Poitier and Diahann Carroll's story is not more interesting. It certainly is. Sidney Poitier is a better actor than Paul Newman.
I think it's the most important story in the movie.
It may be, but it's not the one that the movie is selling the most. So therefore, it can be excised from this from the movie.
I don't want to go minute by minute, but I think they spend more time with Sidney Poitier and Diahann Carroll.
Not even close.
Okay, now we gotta go and do minute by minute.
No, we really don't. But feel free if somebody out there wants to go and do that.
Yes,
let us know what you think of Paris Blues from 1961. It's available. It's streaming a bunch of places, but the whole movie is up on YouTube. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where I watched it.
Yeah.
So,
where's my DVD then?
It's right over there waiting for you, bro. So, all right, there you go. Next week we conclude our month of love, and our film for next week is Mississippi Masala.
Mississippi Masala.
Starring Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington. And Charles Dutton.
There you go.
Charles Dutton is also in Mississippi Masala.
I'm looking forward to this film.
I have not seen this movie in probably 25 years.
I've heard great things about it. I've never seen it.
Okay.
I've always heard great things about it, so I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching Mississippi Masala.
Now this would be interesting. You see, well, we'll talk about that next week. Talking about black movies.
We'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
Right here on the Micheaux Mission, which you can check out every week on MicheauxMission.com, as well as available for your download and streaming pleasure on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and every place a good podcast be, as well as the Black Tribbles Podcast Network, where the Micheaux Mission will reside for one more week.
One
more week. After that, the Micheaux Mission will no longer be available on the Black Tribbles Podcast Network, as we will be moving to another podcast network. We will give you the heads up exactly when that move is going to go down, exactly where else you will be able to find your favorite movie reviewers, Len and Vince.
So one last time, I'm about to start singing One Last Time from Hamilton.
Feel free.
I'm not really about to start singing One Last Time from Hamilton, but that's what it made me think of.
We are also available every
teach
Wednesday
them how to say goodbye
at 8 p.m. as a radio show on WPPM LP 106.5 FM, Philadelphia, Philly Cam, People Power Media. radio here in the city of brotherly love. All right, we got to get out of here. I'm Len. That man's Vince. And in parting, what he shall say.
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.
Now it's time to bid adieu. It's been a pleasure knowing you. I'll see you when it's time to meet again.